It's past blue hour, it's quiet. All my night owls, brave souls, and free spirits gather round. I am so happy that you're here. Welcome to the Late Night Talk podcast. I'm your host, St. George, and this is our safe space to hang out and chill. If you want to feel more connected to yourself, if you want to feel safer in relationships, if you want to dare more, be more, live more, create more, you're in the right place because that is in my interest too, and I want to talk about it and I want to share my experiences with you in how to get there. I have been through two very interesting years, to say the least, including a heartbreak and stuff that brought me to my knees, but also taught me about my resilience, my strength, and it gave me the realization that you have no other choice but to love yourself, and I'm going to untangle that in this whole podcast. So this is all about just being simply a human being, trying to live more deeply and meaningfully all through an artist's lens. Let's be a little bit rebellious and groundbreaking by looking at why you have no other option but to love yourself, and from there to actually live. I am so happy and thrilled that you're here, and I cannot wait to start into the first episode. So let's start right now.
Oh, hey baby, is that you? Yeah, I'm on my way. I'm coming over tonight. I think I can make it in like 60 minutes. What do you think?
So, since you probably don't know me and we've never met before, let me introduce myself. Hi, my name is George. I'm a singer, songwriter, and all-around creative. And I feel like creativity has been running through my blood since the beginning, since I was a little kid. I remember that my mom told me that I would build worlds and craft worlds made out of paper. I would make shoes, I would kind of make cars, and she told me that I would even create a sink and water made out of paper. So you can definitely say that from the beginning, I was the creative and the imaginative kid. And it makes sense because I come from a family of artists, but I would be the first one to pioneer into music. So when I was little, I would be obsessed with music from the Andes, you know, the Bolivian and Peruvian music, the original music. And my parents bought me a pan flute, believe it or not, and I taught myself how to play that. And let me tell you, it is not easy. By the way, if you're listening to this podcast only, head over to YouTube or Spotify and watch the video, because now you can see some cutesy little pics of me as a kid that would play the pan flute. You can even see me making a pan flute out of paper. And I also played the violin from 2nd to 11th grade. So, you know, my passion for music and excitement for music was apparently obviously there, but it was only when I was 8, when my parents would give me a guitar for Christmas, that I would learn how to play some chords and start singing. And since I still was obsessed with the music from the Andes, I sang in a pseudo-Spanish to sound like them. And even though my parents very much enjoyed those kind of songs, they're gone because I didn't know how to write them down, so they're lost. Having started my songwriting career, it was when I was a teenager and discovered pop music that I would start to actually write songs in English. I was so impressed and into the artistry and biography and life of, for example, Madonna, Prince, David Bowie, George Michael, and so many more, that I wanted to have a career like them, because I imagined it to be this very exciting, creative, and adventurous lifestyle, and I wanted to have that as well. So because singing gave me so much joy and it was my passion, I just continued writing songs until I eventually also wanted to record some songs and got into the studio. And so it was just me and the guitar. And I want to share some clips with you where you can hear and see my younger self playing the guitar, singing.
You don't care if it's wrong or if it's right. You don't have to put it on the red light, Roxanne. You don't have to.
So that was from 2009. I guess I was at the beginning of my 20s maybe. And then the next one is definitely in the first half of my 20s. Listen to this.
And it's raindrops, I will know by the time the west wind brings escape, and the hunger in my eyes tells the lie that you're not the one to stay.
And since I was so passionate about it, I naturally just wanted to learn more and more, and my journey of being first and foremost a self-taught continued. And it also deepened because I got interested in how to create the cover artwork, how to come up with a concept, and then later on also how to shoot a music video and even edit it and color grade it and so on. But first, it was when I would graduate from school that I got into making music with samples. And so I would get closer to how I wanted to sound.
All I really want is to get back home, that's all. Can I get a little help on my way? Deeper than the words I'm trying to say. Should I breathe in instead of breathing out? Should I go? Should I stay? Should I declare a war if there's no way? Should I fight? Should I pray? Should I?
I kind of knew that I wanted to join a band or that I needed musicians in order to perform live. And because life has its mysterious ways, I joined a rock band.
Stay with me. I never felt this way before. Stay with me when the wolves come out to play. They don't bother me at all.
And I learned so much, and I had a great time making music with them. But my passion for pop music would never leave me, so there was a time that when our rehearsals in the evening were done, I would stay overnight in our tiny little studio, and I would start producing kind of wildly experimental pop.
Just when I thought no one's at home, you rescued me when needed the most.
I said that I was very much into David Bowie's career, for example, and his artistry, and I wanted to be as bold and outgoing and wild and crazy and expressive. So the songs came together and the vision came to life. And at some point I knew that I wanted this to be a project on its own with an artist's name, and I came up with the idea of calling the project St. George.
St. George, St. George, St. George, St. George.
Because I wanted something that, like Madonna and Prince, was already in people's heads before the artists became famous. Something that was easy to remember and connect with. So I thought of St. George not because my real name is George, but because of the legend of the saint who slayed the dragon, which I think is such a great metaphor for overcoming your fears and growing stronger. And I definitely wanted to empower and encourage myself. I was also very passionate about the concept itself, and I organized a photo shoot. I came up with the cover artwork. I conceptualized music videos and hired a team to shoot the music videos, and I want to dive into some songs and clips shortly to show you what the vibe was.
Turn it up.
I'll be everywhere you turn. I'll be your joy on the vine. I'll be your work of art. When all your friends are gone. There's a fever going round in the dark. Oh beware if you catch the spark. Don't panic if it's coming on too stark. There's a virus in your mind. There's a virus in your heart.
So the debut album was called Uebermut, which is an old-fashioned German term for like being overjoyed or getting on people's nerves. And it was released in 2012. Shortly after that, the rock band split and two of the former band members joined the St. George project. So it was the three of us becoming a band. And we would start rehearsing songs from the project and we would start playing live. And then in 2015 we released the second album, which is called Goldwerth, which is again an old-fashioned term meaning that something is really worth the price or of actual immense value. And the sound had shifted from being very weird and experimental to a more alternative pop sound. But we were still kind of being weird. And I want to share some snippets of music videos and the sound.
We're a funny kind of species, running around in circles. Circles, I say, yeah. Hurry up tonight. Hurry up tonight. Hurry up tonight. Hurry up tomorrow. I'm a dream eater. My work is done at night. I'm a dream catcher. Beware if your door is locked tight.
And I remember that we did a one-take video in the streets of Berlin for a song called Runner, which still very much resonates with, you know, the audience we have gathered, I guess. And I quickly want to show you that too.
Did you never even bother? Where to start, where to begin? 'Cause we gon' be up all night, keep running. 'Cause we gon' be up all night, keep running. 'Cause we gon' be up all night, keep running. 'Cause we gon' be up all night, keep running. 'Cause we gon' be up all night, keep running. 'Cause we gon' be up all night, keep running.
From there on, the years would pass and we would try so many different things, and we also would have a management and we would, you know, experience some interesting stories and stuff. While telling all of this, again, if you head over to YouTube or Spotify, you can see some pictures and videos of us performing and me being in weird costumes and such, because again, I was still wanting to be very weird and outstanding and experimental. But then we never reached the point where we would have a breakthrough. So again, as life happened, I moved to another city and I got distracted from music while also feeling very disappointed and frustrated and also burned out. We would still release more music and then it got more quiet. And I would feel a very deep sadness and pain of not making music, of not having the life that I always envisioned for myself. And whenever I try to come back to making music, I just felt very pressured and not really inspired. And then the last 2 years happened. And now looking back, I feel like I was faced with trauma, deep trauma that I had inside of me that was rooted in childhood and in my time at school, that I didn't even know would be inside of me and still would have such a great impact on myself because of a relationship and a breakup that happened and also other stuff that happened. I felt feelings that brought me to my knees and that made me feel like I am on the limit of what I can actually feel. But intuitively at the same time, I knew that this was all the build-up stuff that I had suppressed and oppressed over the years. And I had kind of a determination to face the pain and to confront it and actually ask, what is that? What is that inside of me that I didn't want to feel, didn't want to look at? And although it was very intense, it also revealed to me that on levels that I wasn't even aware of, I did not like myself. I criticized myself very much, and I had a very negative perspective of myself. And this whole process of working through that just revealed to me all of that deep-rooted shit and self-doubt and, dare I even say, self-hate was inside of me without me really realizing what impact it had on my daily life or the course that my life had taken. And being introspective and looking at my life, figuring out where those deep-rooted issues come from, I also realized that I didn't have strong and healthy boundaries, for myself out of self-love and self-respect. So after becoming aware of that, I really saw that I needed to change my mind, my opinion about myself, and working through that, and naturally coming to the realization that you have no choice but to love yourself, because there is no benefit in putting yourself down. I now find myself so much more capable of being passionate again for music. I have been making music that I want to release very soon. I am still so passionate about coming up with concepts and creating videos, creating content, that I also felt inspired to start this podcast to tell my journey and story, because even though we have our very own special biography and we walk our own path that no one else will ever walk, we still have a universal experience. And on that level, we all have kind of the same issues and problems, that we don't fully like ourselves, that we don't fully trust ourselves. But I feel like especially in these times, we need creative, loving, daring people like you and I to step up. So this is why I want to go on this journey with you and tell you my story step by step, and how I faced my insecurities, how I approached it, and how I changed it, how I now can reap the benefits from it. Because these days, for example, I'm enjoying the best relationship experience that I've ever experienced. And that is because I have new filters, what's good for me, and I have new tools also to connect with myself and to speak my truth and to actually participate in creating a healthy relationship that is actually capable of intimacy and understanding and communication. So in other words, life is lived so much better when you actually like yourself. And by that, of course, I mean love yourself, respect yourself, understand yourself. How many of us actually do that? We run away from ourselves. And I want to bring some clarity into this topic. So let's do this. This podcast will be like a walkthrough and step by step. It will touch on so many different topics like eating disorder, body shaming, my journey also with feeling very, very low and probably also depressed. And also my experience with realizing how strong I am and what great resilience I actually have. So this is also why I call the podcast Seasons of Empowerment. I want to feel better about myself, and I want you to feel better about yourself, and I want us to walk through this together. So if this is your thing, rate this podcast. Connect with me on social media. I'm on Instagram, I'm on TikTok, and the links are in the show notes. Then also, if you go to my website, you can register for the newsletter, which gives you access to information before anyone else gets it. Tell people about this podcast if you like it. And then I would very much love to see you in the next episode. Thank you so much for listening and watching. I cannot wait where this podcast is going, but it's going to be exciting for sure. I hope you're good wherever you are, and that we'll see each other in episode 2. Peace.